Chris Mannix for the crossover alongside Rohan Nadkarni and Howard Beck. Guys, Kyrie Irving made some waves last week when he suggested that Kobe Bryant become the new logo of the NBA. Obviously, the silhouette of Jerry West has been the NBA's logo for decades now, but several players jumped in to voice their support for this and back Kyrie Irving. Rohan, what do you think of this idea?
I have a lot of thoughts about this, Chris, as you can imagine. First and foremost, it's interesting to me, the NBA logo conversation in general. I don't really know of any other sports league that's kind of constantly discussing what they should do with their logo. I don't know why it matters so much for the NBA. I don't know anyone who's ever watched an NBA game simply because they liked the league's logo. In that sense, it's kind of interesting to me that this logo conversation pops up as often as it does for the sport. As it relates to Kobe Bryant, obviously Kobe's impact on so many players in the league, so many people in the world, it cannot be denied that the connection people have with him. In terms of, do you want to make him the symbol for the NBA? I think the elephant in the room, the thing people haven't really been comfortable discussing at length since he died tragically over a year ago now, was his sexual assault accusation in the early 2000s. And is that the kind of person you want to hold up as the symbol for this league? Regardless of where you kind of fall and what you believe and what happened there, is he the right choice to be the symbol for the NBA? I don't know. I think that rightfully disqualifies him. When survivors of sexual assault, victims of sexual assault, accusers, when they talk about what they want to see in these situations, a big part of it is accountability. And obviously Kobe Bryant's case never ended up going to trial. He settled outside of court. But would it be fair to those people to hold this person up as a literal symbol of the NBA? I don't know. And I think that's a very valid reason to not make him the logo. Beyond that, if you're one of those people who wants to shove that aside, even though I don't believe you can, and you want to make this entirely about basketball, even then, is he the right choice? I don't know. I mean, what's the case for him over Bill Russell and his 11 championships and what he's done for social justice causes? The same can be said for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the scoring leader in the NBA. The same can be said for Michael Jordan. LeBron James is a humanitarian and one of the best basketball players of all time. Tim Duncan won the same number of championships as Kobe. So, I think for a lot of reasons, he's not a good choice. And one thing that Kyrie Irving said, though, that I think is important to hear here and his perspective on this, I believe his exact words were "Black Kings built the league." I do appreciate his perspective of, is there something the NBA can do to recognize that it's a largely black workforce, largely black players that have exploded the popularity of this league. Should one of them be the logo? I think that's a good perspective, and that's a conversation I'm much more interested to engage on. But as far as Kobe goes, obviously, it's a thorny issue to say the least, and I think that there are a lot of good reasons why he should not be the logo.
Yeah, I think, Rohan, you laid it all out beautifully. It's a complex discussion, much more complex than a single Instagram post or Jeannie Buss weighing in and saying, yes, we should consider this, or Kyrie. It's much more complex than any of that. And you hit on a lot of the issues there. People all feel differently about Kobe Bryant. And anybody out there who believes that there's no way he could be the logo or should not be honored in other ways because of the sexual assault charge from the early 2000s, I would, of course, respect. I think that Kobe Bryant, the totality of his life and career, is more than that. But everybody is going to come to this with their own perceptions of him and what is the best way to understand his career, his life, whether to honor him, not honor him. The NBA has already named the All-Star Game MVP in his honor. But people are going to have a lot of different and potentially very conflicted or negative feelings if you decided to make him the logo of the league. So even if you personally at home as a fan of Kobe don't believe that that should be an issue, there are plenty of other people who do. And the NBA would have to consider that and weigh that very heavily. But the bigger issue here is why are we, as Rohan pointed out, why are we even talking about changing the logo? I recall at times people thought maybe it should be Shaq dunking. It should be Jordan in his airman pose, or his, his big, the logo from his shoe. Like, it doesn't even make sense to have the Air Jordan logo because it's already a logo for his shoe. But people talked about that. that it's now focused on Kobe. I get it because of the impact he's made on players across this league, and especially the younger generation of players, many of whom, almost all of whom, look up to him. But there's no real reason to change the logo in the first place. By the way, the idea that it's Jerry West, the NBA has never actually acknowledged that. In fact, they've tried to dissuade people from believing that. Jerry West will tell you it's Jerry West. The NBA will not. And significantly, Terry Lyons, longtime NBA executive, now working independently, says that he's actually convinced, based on an old photo, one of the only old photos that existed from that era, that it's Oscar Robertson. And if you've seen the photo, it's pretty compelling that it's actually Oscar Robertson's silhouette that it would have been based on. If we're going to spin it forward and say we need it to be more representative of the modern era, Michael Jordan and LeBron James have at least as big of a claim as anybody else. But the bottom line is this is a fairly ridiculous discussion at the end of the day. There's no reason to change the logo. I don't think the NBA is going to entertain changing the logo.
Oh, you guys laid out the facts there. So I'm just going to say that if the NBA is going to change the logo, there is only one player that you can change it to, and that is Bill Russell. Bill Russell, not only the greatest winner in team sports with those 11 championships, but played at a time when the NBA was in its infancy stage, played at a time when being a black athlete wasn't that easy. Being a black athlete in Boston was far less easy, more difficult. And Bill Russell thrived as a player in that environment. I think if we're going to talk about somebody being the logo of the NBA, that the face representing the NBA, it should be Bill Russell. I think that would be the home run choice. I mean, you've got Bill Russell having the Finals MVP named after him. No. If you're going to change to anything, take it one step further and name and place Bill Russell's silhouette as the face of the NBA. For more on this and much more, check us out over at SI.com.